Greetings. This is Grandmaster Reginald Stroud Sr., also known as most of you all know, Brother Teacher. I hope everyone is doing well, you and yours. However, this video brings me to a question that I have proposed quite some time ago. In other words, about 6 months ago, I posted a video on YouTube referencing some statements about Grandmaster Victor Moore beating Bruce Lee. In 1967, there was a martial arts tournament held, and I believe it was given by Ed Parker. And Bruce Lee was a guest at the tournament. And Grandmaster Robert Trias, who was very instrumental in bringing karate to America in the early years, he was in attendance along with some of his top fighters. Grandmaster Victor Moore was one of them. But before I continue, let me give you this tidbit of information. I know Grandmaster Victor Moore personally. We don't sit down and drink coffee and talk to each other on a regular basis and kick it, as some folks might say, because we don't have that kind of convenience and relationship, because I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, and he's in South Carolina, Lumberton. And so that distance separates us. Plus, we live two separate types of lives. He does what he does where he's living, and I do what I do where I live. However, I love and respect Grandmaster Moore dearly. Let's get that off right away. I want everyone to understand that I know him personally. As a matter of fact, I met Grandmaster Moore when I was a teenager here in Cincinnati. Grandmaster Moore knew my mother, and I had studied karate under one of my uncles and one of my family friends prior to meeting Grandmaster Moore. And Grandmaster Moore, through my mother, called me on the phone. And the first thing he told me was who he was, and then he told me that he beat Bruce Lee. Those were his exact words: I beat Bruce Lee. Now, I'm a teenager. So when a person says that they beat the most popular martial artist at the time, in terms of name, worldwide, it caused a flag to go up in my mind, So I never thought anything really about it after that. But Grandmaster Moore was responsible for me starting in my first traditional karate school. Just in case you didn't know that, I signed up for the USKA under him, United States Karate Association. I never participated in it, but he gave me a membership, and we paid for the membership when I was a teenager. And then ultimately I started training in martial arts under one of his former students. A few of them, as a matter of fact. So that's a little bit of history about myself and Grandmaster Moore. And I've seen Grandmaster Moore numerous times in the mid to late 2000s, even at one of his students' funerals, Grandmaster Kiyoshi Johnny Lee Jokes. So I know Grandmaster Moore. And again, I respect him highly. I would never say anything to slander his name nor anyone else's name in martial arts or in any other field or vocation in life. That's not who I am. That is not what I'm made up of. Some people do it on a daily basis, but that is not Brother Teacher. All I did in my video was respond to a claim. All of us as human beings have the right to voice opinions and viewpoints. I don't give opinions because opinions are biased. If you look up the definition of what an opinion is, sometimes people put their own personal whatever into their opinion. So I give my viewpoint. That is how I like to explain it. My viewpoint based on the facts as I know it. Now, getting to the subject at hand, it was said and has been said over the years that Grandmaster Moore has beat Bruce Lee. I know people personally who know Grandmaster Moore who said he beat Bruce Lee. I've been hearing this for many, many years, for decades. Now, I've seen some of Grandmaster Moore's videos that have been posted on YouTube, and it was a demonstration. And I think we all know that it was a speed demonstration in 1967. Grandmaster Robert Trias chose Grandmaster Victor Moore, who was not Grandmaster at the time, to take the challenge of being able to stop Bruce Lee's lightning hands, as it were. Grandmaster Moore claims that he stopped 2 of Bruce Lee's punches. I've never seen that in the video. To me and to many more people, it appears that he never blocked any of Bruce Lee's punches at all. Now, I heard here recently, and I witnessed in a video recently, that Grandmaster Moore said the video that Bruce Lee threw the punches at his chest and he blocked 2 of them were never shown, and we haven't seen that video. I was not aware of that. But my point is not a video concerning a speed test or drill. The premise of my video was the part when you say, I beat Bruce Lee. Now, we're all intelligent adults out here, I would hope, especially in the martial arts community. When you're black belt, when you're master, and when you're grandmasters, we're supposed to see through the eyes of a wise person and give objectionable viewpoints, not based on bias. My viewpoint is not based on bias. I have nothing to gain from giving just my viewpoint. I'm not making any money off of it. I'm giving my viewpoint as a spectator on the outside watching a video, and a spectator on the outside listening to someone assert that they beat a man that is the most popular martial artist of all time in all history. Now, of course, I love Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee inspired me as a child. But I am not so in love with Bruce Lee that I don't see reason and I don't see truth. I can sift between and cipher out all of the fluff. If Bruce Lee got beat, I would admit it. He got beat. But we're not talking about a speed contest again. The speed contest thing has been used as a means to try to capture people's attention and make you think that you were better than Bruce Lee as a fighter. Now, in the description section below this video, I took the time to leave the link to my blog, which has 3 videos of Grandmaster Victor Moore. And if you take your time and you look at it rationally and with an objective mind, each video, 1, 2, 3 in order, you will see that our beloved, and I say it again, our beloved Grandmaster Moore has discredited Bruce Lee as a fighter in everything that he said. You'll see where he laughed when they told him who would he be doing the speed test against, and he himself said that everybody started laughing and saying, this is just an actor. I have a problem with that. Bruce Lee was not just an actor. And Grandmaster Moore went on numerous times in all of these videos, and even ones that are not even posted by myself. He went on numerous times to discredit Bruce Lee when he said that Bruce Lee was bouncing around after the event was over. And he said, that's something that you do in the street. That's not karate. He said, you have to be focused and situation yourself or poised in a certain position and use correct karate technique and so forth. I have a problem with that too, when people try to compare everything that another person does that's not like what they do to their own system or style. In other words, here's the rub. If you study Kung Fu, if it's Tai Chi, Tai Chi Chuan, if it's Bagua Zhang, Xing Yi, if it's Hung Gar, if it's Ting Shin Pai, if it's Wushu, and another person on the outside who studies only karate is basing everything that you do on what they do, that's a disservice to the martial arts. Because you can't make your system be the measuring stick for what everybody else is doing. So if Bruce Lee's bouncing around, then apparently he has some Western boxing combined with his martial arts of Jeet Kune Do and not Jeet Kune Do, as Grandmaster Moore so eloquently keeps putting it, and that's not correctly put. It is called Jeet Kune Do, not Jeet Kune Do. And Bruce Lee studied martial arts at an early age. He studied Tai Chi, he studied Wing Chun, he studied Western boxing, he studied fencing, he studied various other Kung Fu and karate arts. See, we don't want to look at Bruce Lee's history as a martial arts or a martial artist, that is, and as a martial scientist, a person who had over 2,000 books in his library on martial arts. We want to look at him just as an actor. He was not just an actor, but he did star in movies since childhood. In his childhood in Hong Kong, Bruce Lee appeared in more than 20 movies as a child. So that is not debatable. We can't dispute that. Yes, indeed, Bruce Lee was an actor because he came from an acting family. His father, Lee Hoi Chung, was an actor. He was a very prominent actor in Hong Kong. And Bruce Lee started acting as a child. And he appeared in Western films and projects such as Marlowe with James Garner, Longstreet with James Franciscus. He appeared in, I believe it was called Here Come the Bride. He played, of course, Kato in Green Hornet with Van Buren. He played in a lot of TV shows. Okay, now, do you discredit the martial arts ability of a person and overshadow that with him being an actor and say that's all he is, it's just an actor? And then Grandmaster Moore went on to say that they made Bruce Lee look good in the movies through choreography, and that wasn't martial arts that he was doing. Now that's an insult to Bruce Lee and who he was, because that means that the whole world of martial arts who have adored, respected, and followed Bruce Lee for all of these years now, that they're incorrect. We're saying that all of the people who follow Bruce Lee as a martial artist, we're saying they don't know what they're talking about. They don't follow Bruce Lee today, and Bruce Lee is not the most popular, the most prolific, the most popular name, if you will, in martial arts history. He's not known as an actor. He's known as a martial artist. So if he is just an actor, he has fooled a whole lot of people. You have to be, excuse my expression, a hell of an actor to make everybody think that you're a martial artist who has celebrated you all of these years. 75 years old he will be this year in November 27th of 2015. He's going to be 75 years old. He is still the most profound martial artist of our lifetime. That doesn't mean that we haven't had great martial artists. That doesn't mean that we haven't had martial artists just as good as Bruce Lee. But during that time, during that era, Bruce Lee was the poster child, so to speak. And today he is still the most celebrated, and we can't dispute that. That's already in record. That's already on record. He is the most celebrated martial artist of all time. And if he is not, tell me who it is. Respond to this video and tell me who's the most celebrated martial artist of all time. The one person. You won't be able to do that because Bruce Lee is going to be the first one all the time. He is the most celebrated. He's not the most celebrated actor of all time. He's the most celebrated martial artist of all time. Now, when someone says that Bruce Lee was just an actor and not a martial artist, that's an insult to Bruce Lee's legacy. Because Bruce Lee, irrespective of where all of the other masters came from in karate, kung fu, and so on and so forth, irrespective of how they came up and what time period they came up and who they studied under. And I give total credit to all of those great grandmasters. I love them all, and I've studied most of them. But you can't say that this man who trained his body fanatically, who was so fanatical about his health, and if you look at his pet project, which was the movie Enter the Dragon, and you look at his body, I defy you to find anybody who had that type of training discipline that Bruce Lee did. And if you look at the fact that he demonstrated the thumb push-ups and the two-finger push-ups that most of us never even thought to do, not to say that it was never done, but he made it popular. And the 1-inch and the 3-inch punch. Nobody else did that and made it popular. It was him. And the fact that they had to slow his techniques down on camera so that you could see what he was doing in some of his movies. And the fact that he could flow from one movement to the next movement to the next movement with little effort. And the fact that he had, again, over 2,000 books on martial arts, and he studied martial arts day in and day out. And the fact that he had several Jun Fan Kung Fu schools and Jeet Kune Do schools. A person who's just an actor doesn't open up martial arts schools. They don't do that. You don't have prodigies like Dan Inosanto. You don't have students like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or James Coburn or Steve McQueen. All of these different people. Jesse Glover was one of his students. Taki Kimura, his wife Linda, his daughter Shannon, and God rest his soul, Brandon. He taught all of these people and dozens and dozens and dozens of more people. And he has schools all over the world. And he's an actor only. Something's wrong when you say that that type of individual, even if his name was James Jones, it just happens to be Bruce Lee. But if his name was James Jones and he did the same exact thing that Bruce Lee did, you talk about him too. Why are you talking about him and saying that he was just an actor? He's bouncing around like an idiot. You know, what is that? That's not karate. Again, you're comparing somebody else's system or style to your own, saying that yours is the absolute measuring stick, and it's not. You can't take karate and say that this is the example by which everybody else's martial arts system or style must follow. That's not true, because karate didn't come first. It started in Africa. Then it went to Asia. It went up into China, and I'm abbreviating, and then it came down into Okinawa, and then it came to Japan. That's the lineage in general. It didn't start karate and go up. It started at the top and it came down to the Ryukyu Islands, Okinawa, and then Japan. And then America picked it up later. So stop comparing your karate and saying that, hey, that should be like what I'm doing. And that's not true. I'm sorry. I get a little emotional with control, that is, which all masters in martial arts, grandmasters, should have. Decorum, protocol, etiquette, respect, humility. I teach that. I've always taught that, and I have been taught that since I was a child in the martial arts. 44 years in the martial arts. I know what I'm talking about. And I know the difference in an actor and a true martial artist. Because actors are taught martial arts for certain movies, if you will. Keanu Reeves in the Matrix series, he was taught martial arts, Wing Chun and whatever. But you could tell he was taught that. That was choreographed. Keanu Reeves. The gentleman that played in Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise, he was taught martial arts for some of his scenes. But we all know he's not a martial artist. So you're going to tell me that Bruce Lee was taught martial arts and choreography for the films to put on the impression that he was a martial artist? There is again going to be those people who are going to give me the thumbs down and say, This is an idiot. This person don't know what they're talking about. Who is this self-proclaimed individual that says that Bruce Lee knew anything about martial arts? You know, there are thousands of people out there in the internet world or in YouTube that are going to probably say, you know, that doesn't make sense. But if you are a reasonable and rational and objectionable individual, if you use common sense, and if you take away your prejudice, and then if you call a spade as a result, as it relates to the subject matter is not Bruce Lee missing a punch and being hit by Grandmaster Moore, or Grandmaster Moore blocking or not blocking Bruce Lee's punch. The whole subject matter is this: Grandmaster Moore did not beat Bruce Lee, as in a fight. And if you noticed in the videos, Grandmaster Moore started comparing national champions, and he also made the statements that you had to win a national title or an international title, state title, to even be considered a champion. And to have an actor come out there, they laughed at him because he's just an actor. Bruce Lee was by no stretch of the imagination just an actor. Yes, he was an actor, but he was just as much a martial arts expert, bar none. And that's pretty much it. There are actors out there who are just actors. They're diverse. They can play a lot of types of roles. Bruce Lee happened to be an actor that started as a child up into his adult life. And if you listen to his tapes, you'll hear him say, honestly, martial arts to me is expressing myself. And he expressed himself in martial arts on film. It's that simple. It's not complicated. This is not nuclear physicist science. This is not biology. It doesn't take a 5th grade education to understand this. It's really simple. So again, before I conclude, I want to say this. And I know some may have gotten a little weary of this video and the things that I'm saying, but to the individual, and I don't know his name right now, but I want to give you kudos and much respect, sir. I love you, and Yahweh loves you, God. And I want to say this: I don't slander anyone. The definition of slander, according to the definition and the true definition, is when you say something that is not true. So I have not said anything that is not true. Grandmaster Victor Moore is a wonderful man. I love him to death. When you say that they say that I'm the man who fought them all, and at the end you say, I beat them all, and those were his exact words, I beat them all, and you see Chuck Norris's name on a marquee on one side and Bruce Lee's name on the other side. When you say, I beat them all, what are you really saying? That's my question. So to beat someone, you can beat someone in chess, bingo, checkers, cards, and then both parties go home at the end of the day. You beat someone in golf, basketball, football, both parties go home at the end of the day. But if we're talking about a person's martial arts skill and ability, I beat them. Did you really? Does a sport competition mean that you are actually greater than the other competitor? Because I have been in numerous competitions, and so has Chuck Norris, so has Grandmaster Moore, so has Skipper Mullins, so has Mike Stone, so has Thomas LaPuppet, so has Ed Brown Jr., so has Woodrow Fairbanks, so has Anthony Price, so has Martin Ware, many martial artists. I've said some local and I've said some well-known names. But they haven't won all of the fights. Some days you win, some days you lose. So does that mean if you won some and you lost some, that you're greater than the next person? No, it doesn't. Minamoto Musashi, Book of Five Rings. He talked of fighting numerous men and killing them with his sword. He was one of the most profound swordsmen of his time. He killed many people, never defeated Musashi. Now, did he beat those men? He beat them because they're all dead. Now, had someone killed him in a sword fight, they are the victor or the person that beat him. So when you say you beat someone, to ultimately beat the person would mean that you would have to actually destroy the person. And the person has no chance at all to redeem themselves. As I forestated, I've lost competitions in fighting. And I've won many competitions in fighting as well. So when you have this balance here, does it mean that I'm better than someone else? Even if I won all of them and never lost in a sport martial arts arena, doesn't mean I'm better than everyone else. Maybe I haven't met the person who can actually beat me yet. That was it. Just something for you to think about. Much respect to all of the karateka, judokas, jiu-jitsu practitioners, kung fu men, and so on and so forth. I've studied numerous disciplines, and I am Budo. I am a martial artist. I study martial science, and I'm an instructor. I am brother teacher. And I thank you for your time, and I hope that you use some logic and some rationale in your decision on what's real and what's not. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next video.